Spoilers. Welcome to the channel, I'm Hayes. I'll talk movies all day, so subscribe right now if you want to be entertained. And today, I want to talk about a kids movie that adults love, the 1984 classic fantasy film, The NeverEnding Story. Now real quick before I get into this video, I'm only going to be referencing the NeverEnding Story 1984 movie. I know there's a book, 2 more movies, an animated series, and a live action series, but right now, I'm just talking about this specific movie and not the whole lore. Alright, so I'm gonna guess that most people watching this video, like myself, saw the NeverEnding Story as a child, then watched it again as an adult. And perhaps by now you've seen it more times as an adult than you did as a child. And I hope those of you with children are showing this film to them because, real talk, that trauma would prepare them for life. But anyway, I would be interested to know if any of you watched this film for the first time as an adult, and if so, how it resonated with you. Because for me, the first time I saw this movie was in primary school, maybe at around 6 or 7 years old. One of the teachers brought it in to show everybody, so I remember just being happy that we didn't have to do schoolwork that day. But what followed, and definitely not realizing this at the time, was perhaps one of the earliest influences on the opinions, attitudes, and philosophies I would later form. As a child, it's a fun, sad, and ultimately happy adventure. But as an adult, it's a reminder of all the things we let go of and the broken promises we made to ourselves. And perhaps a reminder that it's never too late to start dreaming again. Now I know a lot has been said about that scene, but I gotta be honest, going from memory, the first time I watched it, I'm not sure I was paying much attention to the actual story. I remember enjoying watching the puppets. I think at the time it reminded me of Star Wars, and I definitely didn't pick up on any of its deep concepts back then. I just knew I liked it. Since then, I think I've rewatched this at least 3 or 4 times over the years at various stages of my life. Each time it's meant something different to me. Watching it now, it's less fantasy adventure and cool reason to not have to do schoolwork, and more sad reflection of an unspoken reality. There are so many thoughts and philosophies this film brings up. I won't go through them all, but if we're going to talk about trauma, then let's start with that scene. Now this actually happens not that long after Atreyu and Artax are introduced, so as a viewer, we don't really know either of them that well when it happens. We just know Atreyu is the great warrior child of the Plains people, and Artax is its trusty steed. But when it happens, it feels like you've known them your whole life. It honestly feels like watching a kid from the neighborhood trying to rescue his dog. And what gets me, even now, is how believable Noah Hathaway was during the scene. I once heard a rumor that the production drowned a real horse while Hathaway really tried and failed to save him. It's not true. And even though I know it's not true, I can believe it. That scene plays as if Hathaway allowed every single real life emotion to come through, as if he wasn't even acting at that point. Now the story in the movie is that Artax died because the sadness overtook him. As a child watching this, that's just a fantastical, maybe even a little silly thing to say. But as an adult, we realize that is 100% accurate. Whether in the metaphorical sense or in the literal sense, we die when the sadness overtakes us. And also, notice how Artax dies. It's not sudden, it's slow, very slow. He sinks, as if the weight of depression was just too heavy. He doesn't even make a sound, as if he's just accepted his fate and was too depressed to fight it. Mate, that is not a joke. That is actually real life. How many of us have worked jobs we hated but stayed because you got bills to pay, you got people that depend on you, cost of groceries goes up, car needs new tires, you missed out on a pay rise because the boss decided you didn't kiss his arse enough. And on top of all that, the 7-day Super Duolingo trial is about to expire. And look, I know this sounds like an exaggeration, and yeah, I'm being a little facetious with the Super Duolingo trial, but sometimes it really is the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because if you've been an adult in this world for more than a year, then you know the weight of everything happening all the time is heavy. The moment you deal with one problem, another 3 problems pop up. The weight is heavy. And you still gotta do all the things you gotta do just so you can do it all again tomorrow. And all you wanna do is watch TV, play video games, and eat biscuits all day. But you can't, cause rent's due. So you suck it up, dig deep, try to find those last scraps of energy you've got left. Everybody tells you, you're doing great, you got this, you're the man or woman. But you know, slowly, bit by bit, the sadness is taking over. And when it does, it's like that Mark Twain quote, most men die at 27, we just bury them at 72. Or maybe we become like Mauler, the Ancient One, wise but jaded, bitter, given up a long time ago, allergic to youth, alone so long in the swamps of sadness you stop caring about everything and everyone, don't even care if you care. Mauler represented to me that bitter old person who spent their life never doing anything they were passionate about, just to end up miserable and bad company. And literally the only time anyone went to see her in thousands of years is because he had to. Atreyu lost his best friend getting to Mauler so he can find out how to save the Empress, and this cantankerous old bozo don't even care. Imagine being that miserable. In fact, let's be honest, you probably know somebody like that. But before you quit your job to become an Instagram influencer, please, I'm not suggesting that, because end of the day, you got bills to pay, you got people to take care of, and let's keep it all the way real. Most of us would end up trying to sell feet pics on OnlyFans and still won't make enough money to cover the shopping bill. So you should probably keep your job, at least until you can find something better. I'm just saying, maybe in the meantime we can find a better balance where we can take care of all the things and people we need to without losing so much of ourselves in the process. But speaking of losing ourselves, I don't think enough gets said about Rockbiter's final words.
They look like good, strong hands, don't they?
The first time we meet Rockbiter, he comes across as this big, kinda scary looking, don't know if he's friend or foe type character. Though we soon find out he's more of a gentle giant type character. He's from the north where they had exquisite gourmet rocks, but it's all been destroyed by the Nothing, and now has to find the Empress, so he makes friends with Teeny Weeny and Nighthawk because they need to find the Empress too. But less than an hour later when we see Rockbiter again, this guy has given up. He wasn't able to protect his friends. He saw that the Nothing was coming and said,
I will just sit here and let it take me away too.
What stands out to me about this is that Rockbiter is effectively the strong one, or the protector, realizing that his strength wasn't enough when it mattered the most, unable to protect his home, his friends, and now feeling like his value is gone. Don't tell me you haven't been there. Especially for the parents out there, you gotta be the rock in the family, the thing that no matter what your kids can rely on, but something happens and you can't protect them, and you realize they just look like good, strong hands. At some points, we're all gonna face something that brings your whole identity and self-worth into question and have you wondering, what was even the point? And to be fair, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Part of growth is being challenged. But when something destroys everything you've believed about yourself, that's a hard pill to swallow. Though you better swallow it, because the only other options are death or delusion. Now speaking of death, let's talk about the servant of the power behind the Nothing, Gmork. Gmork was spitting facts. He said Fantasia is the world of human fantasy, and so it has no boundaries, but it's dying because people have begun to lose their hopes and forget their dreams, and he's helping the Nothing because people without hopes are easier to control, and whoever has the control has the power. In the space of about 3 minutes, Gmork laid out the blueprints of just about every manipulative arsehole you'll ever meet. It might have been a teacher or one of the managers at your job, maybe it was your partner. For some of you, it could have been a family member, but it was all the same thing. Belittle you, emotionally and or physically abusive towards you, doing whatever they can to make you feel worthless until you start to believe it, until you start to lose your hopes and forget your dreams. And then you're so much easier to control. But it's not all doom and gloom. Falcor said never give up, and luck will find you. So we gotta find ways to keep going, keep our hopes and dreams alive, keep making wishes, and hopefully one day, like Bastion, we'd all get to ride a luck dragon through the skies of Fantasia. Or maybe just drive to work without getting stuck in traffic. Same thing really. By the way, here's something I found out recently that I thought was interesting. The narrator, Rockbiter, Mauler, Gmork, and Falcor were all voiced by the same actor, Alan Oppenheimer. He also did the voice work for Skeletor and many other characters in the 80s He-Man series, plus he was in Scooby-Doo, The Smurfs, Flash Gordon, with appearances in Knight Rider. I mean, this guy practically raised us, and I didn't even know. And for my hardcore casual gamers out there, he also showed up in Baldur's Gate 2, Soldier of Fortune, God of War 2, and Fallout 4. You've almost certainly heard him in something. Man's got range. Oh, and in case you're wondering, yes, he is related to that Oppenheimer. And also, another thing I found out recently that I thought was interesting is that the author of the NeverEnding Story book, Michael Ender, hated the movie. In fact, he hated it so much he requested his name be removed from the credits and also claimed the filmmakers rewrote the screenplay without his permission or knowledge. Now, to be fair, authors not liking the movie adaptation of their books ain't exactly uncommon. But I think this is an example of how different mediums do different things. Now, I ain't read the book, so I won't comment on that, but considering this movie is over 40 years old and is still being considered a classic that can be enjoyed and appreciated on multiple levels, whatever those changes to the script were, it worked. But that's what I think of the NeverEnding Story. What do you think of the NeverEnding Story? Let me know down below, and while you're there, be sure to like, subscribe, and drop a suggestion if you don't mind.